Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, if how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University.
Good day, everyone, and happy April Fool's Day, or better yet, happy Friday, and welcome to Financial Focus University. I am your host for the evening, Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO. I own and operate a small internet personal financial advisory firm called RIVIECCIO Financial Advisors. I am the current founder of an investment management firm, which I'll be talking about more in a moment, called the Financial Advisors Group. And I'm currently an adjunct professor of personal finance in both Herbert H. Lehman College as well as Monroe College here in the city of New York. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful show for you today. Our regular first segment will be Bidenomics and how the markets, the financial and stock and bond markets went for the week. And then our second segment, our how-to segment, has to do with income tax preparation. Is it free? Is it not free? Are we getting hoodwinked? The trials and tribulations, ladies and gentlemen, of TurboTax and H&R Block. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then our third and final segment comes from a question, our Ask the Question segment, from a young man by the name of Mark who lives in Woodlawn. He had a very simple question, I'm sure, for many people that just did their income taxes. He wants to know, what is the quickest way to get my income tax check? Right? We all want the answer to that. So I'm going to give it to him a little bit later on. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the show. We apologize for being a little bit late. Happy April Fool's Day. Happy New Year. We might have a little special segment at the end of the show. We'll talk about maybe wrestling. But now join us to talk about Bidenomics, our first segment. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been keeping track of the stock market over the course of the last week, you must go to the drugstore and take Pepto-Bismol, because again, it was another crazy week for the stock market. On Monday, when we started off the beginning of the week, we went into what's happening with the war, what's happening with Putin, what's happening with Joe Biden. And for Monday and Tuesday, they had this tid and this tat and this tid and this tat. So on Monday, the market reacted very negatively to the tit for tat news. It went down 0.6%. On Tuesday, we still had some more tit tat. Putin, Biden, Putin. And the markets decided to now go up on Tuesday. They went up 1.3%. But then on Wednesday, something funny started to happen to our economy. If you watched our show last week, I went into detail actually a little bit about it the week before. You might have heard that phrase again, called the inverted yield curve. This is when short-term interest rates go up, but long-term interest rates do not. In a general healthy economy, short-term rates should be going up like long-term rates. When long-term rates do not go up, the curve bottoms itself out. And as I mentioned last week and showed in the charts last week, many economists consider that a very dangerous area in the market. So on Wednesday, our short-term rates went up a lot. Why? Because our Federal Reserve Board decided that they wanted to be ahead of the inflation curve. Well, the market didn't, believe it or not, didn't like that response. So the markets on Wednesday went down 0.7%. But then on Thursday, and as I always say, towards the end of the week on Thursday and Friday, now we're going to get real economic numbers. And the markets will make judgments off of these numbers. So on Thursday, jobless claims went down. What that means in simple terms is that less people are now applying for unemployment. You know what the market said to that? They didn't believe it. They said after the yield curve, it's impossible. People have to be out of work. I don't know what's true or not anymore, but the market decided to go down and took a biggest hiccup you've seen for the week at negative 1.5%. So today we wake up to some more economic news. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, we received a wage report. Wages for last month went up 0.4%. In an annual rate, that's a little over 5%. Wages are now at 5%. That's a good sign, right? We got another sign, the unemployment rate. As you've heard me say the last couple of weeks, jobless claims have been going down. So according to our United States government, if the claims are going down, well, so is the unemployment rate, right? So the unemployment rate went down to 3.6. How did the market interpret that? In general terms, it interpreted it okay, not as good as the other gyrations in the market, but the market went up today. It went up 0.3%. So as you can see on the chart, if you add and subtract, another crazy week, I need some more Pepto-Bismol. How did the market do for the week? Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the market for the week went down. It went down negative 1.2%. You know, don't let these weekly numbers fool you, folks. Because again, if you want to know how the market is doing on a week-by-week basis, just take that number, you could times it by 52 weeks. You could times it by 4 and then times it into the amount of months you think it's going to grow. Right now, our economy is going through some very serious hiccups. So year to date, from January 1 to today, how is our financial markets doing? Well, right now, for year to date, we're doing a negative 4.1%. Doesn't sound too good, right? If anybody heard Joe Biden's comments this morning about how our market is doing wonderful and people are working, as I've just indicated, right? Well, the market's not showing any healthy signs. But if you looked at the last indicator, what we call the bar press indicator, the gloom and doom index indicator, if you remember 6 weeks ago when we were talking about the market and the market was doing bad and our friend Mr. Press gave me a call, and in full disclosure, he's not a client, but he is a good friend that is was worried about the markets. You know, he's got $1 billion in there, so any lovely lady that knows him should give him a call. And he was scared to death. And he and I spoke, and even though he's not a client, I gave him some general information. And he says to me, Anthony, I'm all in. Okay, well, for the last 6 weeks, he's gained 1.9%. So, Bob, congratulations. For the last 6 weeks, you've been showing positive growth. But of course, you've had your money in for the whole year, not your last 6 weeks. So we got to now look at the year-to-date numbers. As with everybody else, we are still down 4.1%. But as you can see from the bar press indicator, for the last 6 weeks, our economy is starting to get slowly better. One last tip, ladies and gentlemen, it has to do with inflation. We live in New York. The slice of pizza, 2020. You can come to the Bronx, you can get pizza. I don't know if it was good, but some of my friends said it was, for $1. Today, New York City average, 3 years later, $2.75. Manhattan average, slice of pizza, $3.26. Highest place in New York to get pizza, $5.50. City of Staten Island. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment.
World Inkers Monthly magazine is a fine source for your literary interests. It's an all-source magazine with poetry, prose, and essays and articles, as well as interviews. It's all full color art and photography from a variety of voices and artists. You will find this magazine entertaining. This is an all-purpose readership, and we are looking for new voices. This sleek, full-color edition of World Inkers Monthly magazine will be something pleasant for your eyes as well as for your mind. And we're looking for authors for one book promotion in the magazine. If you're a business, we want to promote your business. You may submit your book reviews, your academic or non-academic articles on the humanities and the arts, as well as your literary writing and creative output to publication.worldinkers@gmail.com. World Inkers Monthly magazine does not spare any ink. Keep inking for World Inkers Monthly magazine.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We're on segment 2, our how-to segment. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to spend a couple of minutes talking about income tax preparation. We're about 3 weeks away from the end of tax season, what I call phase 1. Of course, if anybody needs an income tax extension, if you're not prepared to do your taxes yet, feel free to call your tax person. Make sure you get that in on time because, of course, we want to meet deadlines. But if you've noticed this year, really no different than many years, you've noticed all these free income tax preparation signs, right? Before the internet became popular, you would see these signs on what I call the big tax companies, right? Like H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, and it has this big, wonderful sign, free, right? Come on in and get your taxes done for free. And then, of course, in recent years, we've seen these promotions also on the internet. I've gotten a billion phone calls in regards to it, right? Oh, sure, you can get your taxes done for free. Just go to the software. If you have any questions, ask the software person, and you can basically get it done for free, right? Ladies and gentlemen, the Financial Advisors Group, a company that I owned fully at one time and was very proud of at one time, stopped some, and not just our company, but several financial companies, stopped 20 years ago the practice of what we call misleading advertising. It's well publicized that our organization, with many, stopped the H&R Block practice of what you might remember, some of the old timers, called rapid refund, right? Because at the end of the day, that wasn't a refund, right? That was a loan. Ladies and gentlemen, there are no way that you're going to get your taxes done for free unless you fit into one of the 20% of Americans. Why is that? Because, ladies and gentlemen, let me make this very simple for you just before we go to the chart. I can walk in, you can walk in to any income tax preparer's office and see that free sign and say, oh, goody, I got my documents. I'm just going to give it to them. They might charge me, $2, $3 to some miscellaneous costs, but I'm going to get it done for free, right? Okay. So you give me the documents and then you say to me, oh, but wait a minute. I got medical expenses. Don't count. Oh, wait a minute. I gave to charity. Don't count. Oh, but wait a minute. I had job expenses. Don't count. Oh, wait a minute. I have a home-based business at home. Don't count. Oh, wait a minute. I rented part of my property and I received rental income. Don't count. Well, with that rental income, I had rental-related expenses. Don't count. Oh, but I pay city and state taxes on my money. It's on my W-2 and on my pay stub. And I read somewhere that's tax deductible. Don't count. Why doesn't it count? Because the free version, whether you go into your local H&R Block, only using them as an example, or TurboTax, who's just been sued by the FTC for misleading practices, because if you have no deductions, right, then those are called simple taxes. And because they're simple, it's basically only one form to fill out. Because if you have medical expenses, Guess what? That one form now turns into 3. Oh, you pay city and state taxes. Wonderful. Let's deduct them. Now those pages have turned into 4. Oh, you had job expenses. That's great. Let's put all those recordings down. The traveling, the food, any miscellaneous things you didn't get reimbursed on, maybe clothing, maybe union dues. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's more paperwork too. We have over 400 areas in the income tax code that may or may not apply to you. And that is based on your financial lifestyle. And as I always say, you should sit down with a tax advisor and find out what those things are. And based upon what those things are, you'll be able to properly have them recorded. And yes, those recordings are going to require more paperwork. More paperwork means it has to be done more diligently. Let me use a very proper word instead of diligently, professionally, right? And of course, you want to pay for a professional service because you don't want John Tilley, the plumber, to all of a sudden turn into your income tax expert because he's using TurboTax. And bottom line to a dollar, nobody knows what they're doing on TurboTax, right? Why? Because again, it's very simple. So simple people that have a very simple life with little or no deductions fall into that 20% category that, depending on the promotion, maybe they can get their income taxes done for free. As I shared with a friend of mine a little bit earlier, and here comes another part of that trick, you really have to be careful with these deadlines because they're offering this service for free, right? To only 20% of Americans. Once you miss that deadline, well, you got to pay like anyone else. How much is it normally charged for simple taxes? Where if it's not on a promotional based system, anywhere from $50 to $100, depending on the income tax company. Why do they do it for free in the first place? Well, is your life going to be simple for the rest of your life? Are you not going to learn some of the areas that apply to you and then start to apply them? Aren't you not going to have children? Aren't you not going to get married? As your financial lifestyle changes, guess who'll be in touch with you every year to find out if they can help you? It'll be the same company that did it for free, right? So, in one sense, you can't blame them for doing it for free. But understand the ramifications of what's going on. You walk in there, no deductions under the free banner. The moment you have a deduction, and this is why TurboTax is in trouble, oh, you got a deduction. Let's put that in the mix, right? A minute ago, I said you couldn't put it in the mix, right? But now we're going to put it in the mix. Why are we going to put it in the mix? Because now it's going to create more paperwork. So as you're plugging these things in and you're still thinking it's for free and you're seeing these things, it's just saying plug it in. Oh, I thought it was for free, right? It's telling me I can plug all these things in. And yes, you can plug them all in until you get to the last button. And then the last button says price. And ladies and gentlemen, just to share some price ranges with you, simple forms, as I said a minute ago, is if they're not on promotional sale, simple forms can run anywhere from $100 to $200, depending on the company. If you fall into what I call the itemized deductibility area, as you can see on the chart, I mentioned a suite of things such as medical expenses, city and state taxes you pay, job expenses, gifts to charity. These are what we call your personal itemized deductibility areas. Those, depending on the company, can range from $300 to $400. Then taxes become more complex, but they become more complex because of sophisticated things that might be going on in your life. So if you own a home-based business, if you if you have property and you're renting it out as an ad hoc landlord, if you go to school and now you're able to claim school deductibilities, well, those, believe it or not, now cost a little bit more money. Why? Because the taxes are more complex, they're more sophisticated, they're more itemized. And those ranges can be anywhere from $400 to $600. And then that's basically the individual ending of the standpoint. Then you get into businesses such as C corps, partnerships, regular corporations, and those prices, of course, can go from $800 minimum to go as high as 2,000, depending on the complexity of the situation itself. So, ladies and gentlemen, to summarize, 20% of Americans, if they catch the right promotion and if they decide, oh, I have no deductions in my life, right? All you need is my name, address, social security number, and the story, right? See how simple it is, right? 5 minutes, I can write it down. I don't even need to buy the software, right? I can write it down. Done. Yes, you can get it done for free. Guess what? You can do it yourself, right? Any deduction? Nope. It's going to cost you money to get it done. Feel free to give us a call, 347-575-5045, especially if you need an income tax extension. I would highly recommend, if you're not sitting down with your tax person within the next 7 days to protect yourself, you might want to do that as well. Any questions on that, feel free to give me a call. We'll be back in a moment.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you again. We're going to our last segment, Ask a Question. Before we go there, however, let me cover something that is not going to be happening on our show tonight, and sadly, it's not an April Fool's joke. We were hoping to have as one of our segments, as you might have seen with some of our promotions, budget and politics. It's been a semi-weekly, or I should say semi-weekly segment. We're trying to have it once every 2 or 3 weeks. As some of our viewers know, we've already had a few guests on our show. And what we're trying to do is between the New York State budget itself, which if anyone lives in New York, they now know the budget is officially late, although our government says it's going to be approved in a couple of days. But what's more important than this budget they're approving is this upcoming elections, because again, you know, we want to hear their views, right? They're the ones that are running for office. They're the ones that are going to be in charge of not just spending our money, but also taxing our money, right? So we want some of these basic answers. And sadly, we were supposed to have Mr. Emmanuel Martinez on our show tonight. I will not make any excuses for him, except to tell you that, of course, he's currently running for office as a candidate in the 78th Assembly District. He's currently the board chairman of Community Board 7. And this week, especially this week, if anyone is familiar with politics, is what we call the end of petition week. If anyone's familiar with that process, make a long story short, you're lucky if you have enough time to go to the bathroom. So I apologize for being gross. And again, I'm not making excuses for him, because I will say Financial Focus University was expecting him. We wanted him, and we hope to have him at a later date. But sadly, we don't have him tonight. We were in communication with him as of this morning, but as my life is converging myself between teaching classes and the end of income tax season, I know his life, I'm sure, is converging as well. But I do intend on having him on a future show, and not just Mr. Martinez. You should know there were 3 people running in that race. Of course, another candidate, Miss Shaniqua Charles, who I spoke with this week, and we'll have her on an upcoming show. And then the current assemblyman there, the incumbent, by the name of Mr. Jose Rivera. So I'm actually hoping between now and the election in June to have all three candidates, and not just, of course, in that district, but to cover as much of the New York City area as possible for our viewers. So let's get back to the last segment. Ask a question. Ladies and gentlemen, as we always encourage you, please feel free to call or email us with any question you have. This question comes from Mark. He's from Woodlawn, and it has to do with income taxes. Your question does not have to be about taxes. It could be about any relation in personal finance. It could be budgeting. It could be credit. It could be debt. It could be insurance. It could be retirement. Feel free to ask us a question. We'll accept your question on the show, and I'll try to answer it as best as I can. Mark actually had a very simple question. Mark's question was, Anthony, what is the quickest way to get my income tax refund? So without knowing Mark too well, it sounds like Mark is in need of his income tax refund check right away. So I know Mark is listening. So Mark, I want you to listen very carefully. In simple terms, presuming you're due a refund, there are two ways of getting your income tax check. One is through regular mail, right? You know, regular mail. Regular mail normally takes 4 to 8 weeks. And then we, of course, have what's called e-file, right? That we put into direct deposit, right into your bank account, your checking account or savings account. And that generally takes 2 to 3 weeks. Now, that is the song that the IRS sings. That is the song that they want me to sing. That is the song that I'm sure your tax preparer is going to sing to you. Listen to me very carefully, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what kind of music you like, but I like acid rock. So let's get to some reality, right? Acid rock reality, you like that? Anybody following me with the gray hair? Let me shut up now. Okay, so the reality is this. As people have heard me say on the show, the IRS is behind. Why are they behind? Because they've been processing all these stimulus checks. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't Donald Trump who processed it, although he approved it. It wasn't Joe Biden who processed it, although he approved it. It wasn't even Mike Pence who processed it, but he approved it. And it wasn't Kamala Harris who processed it, but approved it. It was the IRS. So all those stimulus checks you got, all those child tax advance credits you got, well, that's who cut them. The Department of the IRS. So if they're busy cutting checks, guess what they're not doing? They're not doing your income tax paperwork. That was the case of the last 2 years. They were heavily behind. This year, they're slightly behind. They're catching up. So the reality is, what I've just given you as far as a guideline, add 2 more weeks to that, ladies and gentlemen. So direct deposit, I would say 4 weeks. Regular mail, I would say 8 weeks. Anything longer than that, then of course, check with your income tax preparer. If you want to check on your income taxes right now, of course you can. All you have to do is go to www.irs.gov and click on Where's My Refund? And when you do that, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you have 3 important items with you. Of course, number 1, they're going to ask you for your social. Number 2, and this is the one that confuses a lot of people, they're going to ask you for your filing status, whether you're single, happily married, happily divorced, widowed, God forbid. And then the third is the amount of the check. When you put those 3 items in, it's going to tell you one of 3 things. Either A, yes, we got your stuff. This is when you can expect it either in the mail or in your bank account. B, we don't have your stuff, which means you should go check with your tax man. Or the infamous C, yeah, we got your stuff, but we're still trying to calculate it. And what that again means in simple terms is that there's a mathematical error. That mathematical error, ladies and gentlemen, could be on either end. It could be on the IRS end as well as the tax preparer's end, or even, of course, on your end. But what it means through a mathematical error is that while it goes through its theme of correction, that correction will normally take 4 to 8 weeks. So again, just go to www.irs.gov, click on Where's My Refund, have those 3 items handy: social, filing status, amount of the check. It will give you one of those 3 items, and good luck to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We apologize for starting late. We hope to be on time next week. More importantly, we hope to have some really good guests in the upcoming future as we talk about our world of personal finance. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend and be financially focused. Have a good night.
Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, and how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony